B-Fab, Ember Moon, Mia Yim, Keith Lee, all gone, released from the WWE. Some more surprising than others, and of course there are other names. But we're going to talk about Keith Lee in a bit more depth today on Wrestle Extra. So stay tuned.
Yo, this is WrstlXtra. Of course, you are watching on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel and, of course, listening on AffinityExtra.com. I am your boy, A Dazzle. And, of course, next to my tag team partner, Mex, the WrestleManiac, if you will.
Yes.
It's been a tough week. It's been a tough week for the wrestling community. Last week, I believe was it Thursday or Friday?
Thursday, I think
Thursday,
it was, yeah.
Thursday. We were hit by the news. I mean, there were a bit of rumors and a bit of flash talk about possibility of some cuts happening, but then we started to get confirmation. Anyone that is on Twitter and anyone that knows Twitter any good knows that if you want to see anything confirmed, go to at Sean Rossap. And all the confirmations were just flying in. I don't know what. And gosh, when we started seeing some of the names, Keith Lee, Mia Yim, Zayda Ramia, Ember Moon, B-Fab. I think that was the first shock. That was the first shock. And then even more so, Lindsay Dorado, Grand Metalik. Grand Metalik was probably the only person that we were, I guess, happy for, simply because he asked for his release a few weeks ago or whatever. Then there was Nia Jax.
Crazy one.
Woo-hoo! That one was definitely out of nowhere. I think the biggest surprises, and of course Karrion Kross as well, Scarlett, and Frankie Monet, also better known as Taya Valkyrie. But yeah, man, some of those names were just an absolute shocker. I think, for most people, the biggest shocks were B-Fab, mainly because she literally just moved to SmackDown, literally 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. Nia Jax was a massive one, and Keith Lee, especially amongst us. Keith Lee, to be honest, actually, he's not even just amongst us as black fans. It literally was just amongst the wrestling community, based on the potential Keith Lee has, the way he was very different, and all of that. The year that he had last year, his rise to get into the main roster, and then his first few months on the main roster, it's just, it's bewildering is the word. It's bewildering as to how these cuts can be made so easily.
Yeah.
For me, that's the big issue. How the cuts can be made so easily. One of the really sad stories is Nia Jax's one, where she eventually shared her story. I think it's like a day or 2 days later, at the fact that she was actually on leave for dealing with some mental health issues, on needing a break, or the rest of it. She was asked to come back in, I think it was towards the end of October, mid-November. And she said, I just need another few weeks. Lo and behold, boom. There was I think she said that she had no real response, but then the response was being fired. How do you deal with that? Like, what? How?
Like, with the Nia Jax situation, someone that is on a mental health break, do you think this is the right time to release her from her contract? Like, come on, guys. There's an element of, just being a human being. Even if they said, right, even if they warned her, okay, come in, let's have a talk, and the talk was like, we're gonna have to release you from your contract, but we understand you're on a break. we'll keep you under contract for maybe another 4 weeks, just so she can prepare herself. Because, you know, mental health break is very broad in, you know, in the words. We don't know maybe exactly what she's dealing with. It could just be exhaustion, and she's just recharging her batteries. But it's just, you know, and Nia's not saying that she was released because she asked for an extension. That's not what she said. However, it's pretty much insinuated that this is what I was doing. I was on a break for this reason, and they didn't get back to me about my extension, and then they just got rid of me. So it's kind of like, make of that what you will, which is bad press for WWE. That doesn't look good at all. And of course, you mentioned the other guys in B-Fab that literally just been brought up 2 weeks on TV and done.
Apparently, she also signed a new. I think she signed a new contract.
I heard this
2 weeks before that, bro.
I heard this.
How?
It's mental, bruv. But this is what we say: no planning, like they must have looked at B-Fab and thought, okay, expendable. But let's be completely honest. Why did you offer her that contract then? And then you probably thought, too much money for her, or whatever the case is. Let's get rid of her. Where is your planning? I don't get it. Like, she had 2 matches on NXT, wasn't the best, but it's the start of her career. Let's be completely honest. You then bring her up, give her a new contract, and get rid of her.
The thing is, if you know full well, okay, so we know before this whole NXT 2.0 thing happened, they were scouting. I think Vince went down there, John Laurinaitis went down there, all the rest of it went down to the Performance Center to scout and to maybe work out what they're going to do with NXT, all that kind of stuff. So they've seen B-Fab, they've seen Hit Row, they've seen what they're about, what they do, and all the rest of it. As you said, the planning, the simple thing to do is you see the 4 of them. If you don't like all 4, you use who you like. As much as we won't like that, it still makes a level of sense. In the same way that they took Ridge Holland away from Pete Dunne, they also now got rid of Only Lorcan. I kind of don't understand that one either. You know, there's been more than enough times where you've broken up a group from NXT to bring up maybe one person, maybe 2 people. The same thing they've done with drafts before from Raw to SmackDown. They've broken up tag teams. They've broken up the New Day. Just do that. Leave B-Fab where she was and bring up the other 3. Like, we'd be upset, but we wouldn't be mad in the same way that we are now. We wouldn't be wondering what the hell is going on.
Bro, the funny thing is that we said Hit Row should have all stayed where they were in the first place.
Exactly. They stayed. I think they still had time, as great as they are, and as much as they can be an asset to SmackDown. There was no need. There was no kind of like, right, they've got nothing else to do. They have to go up now. They've still got time. There was still time for them to develop a lot of things. Even just their standing as pro wrestlers.
Yeah. Because
they've now come up with very little backstory, very little, you know, behind them for people to then say, oh, yeah, Hit Row now on SmackDown. Yeah. Not the same. It's just not the same. And so then to get rid of someone you've just brought up and offered a contract, what are you doing?
They don't know. They don't know themselves.
We talk about Nia Jax needing a mental health break and whatever that implies, but at the same time, you're giving people, especially someone in the case of B-Fab, I don't know how she's taken it necessarily, and she may say certain things on Twitter, but maybe thinking completely differently. But she's gone from the adulation of moving from NXT to SmackDown, then being given a contract. So that's, you know, the excitement gone up another level, and then boom. With no explanation, with no real reason. Budget cuts. We can argue that. But at the same time, if you know you're getting rid of people, why are you offering contracts?
This is the thing. And I just don't know. Like, I actually have a I'm not going to compare this. This is not even a like for like situation at all, but it's similar somehow. So I'll say it. In the past, I was offered a job which was pretty high paying. I would say maybe about £400-500 a day for contract work, doing like analyst work and stuff like that. They said, yeah, we're going to bring you in. It'll be for initial 6 months. Then we'll look at things and keep you going, blah, blah, blah. Great. Took the job. This job was far away from where I lived, but the money was worth it and everything, right? New contract, buzzing. I worked 2 weeks in that job and they said, okay, we're getting rid of you. 2 weeks. Now, the money was still good for 2 weeks worth of work at what it was. However, you've got excited to the point where, oh, this is the new beginnings for me.
Right.
I've got my contract. That's my, at least my short term, in my case, my short term future solidified, and B-Fabs will be her, at least the next couple of years. And literally weeks later to days later, in her case, everything's been pulled out from underneath your feet.
And now you think the excitement that you felt, or the accomplishment even that you felt getting that job, and as you said, new beginnings, blah, blah, blah. Now add to the fact that, if that job for you specifically was something that you wanted to do for however many years, have trained for, even grew up wanting to be that person, or the rest of it, add that now to how you...
It's an absolute joke just how they've treated. I mean, I want to take some of these comments and then we'll crack on and speak about the other guys. Black Nito says it's the way that WWE has done business and how they're treating people that I find so distasteful. Off the back of that, I've heard that they're actually planning more, like very soon, more cuts. And that obviously Nick Khan said a while ago that this is going to be a regular thing, like every 6 months, basically to keep things fresh, flush people out that aren't being used, etc. Yusuf Omar says that he heard Tony Khan is interested in signing Keith Lee. These are the rumors. I guess we'll get on to Keith Lee in a second.
Yeah, of course.
Faith Thompson, B-Fab said she's gonna be Fab. I felt better after that. Yeah, I'm happy that she's so upbeat about it as well, to be honest. Black Nito says they broke up Sanity, which that's true. So yeah. And Yusuf Omar says, heard the majority of the cuts done last week was due to a lot of them being unvaccinated. So
yeah, that was also a talking point. Apparently Nia Jax was one of them. She wasn't vaccinated and whatnot. I mean, even with that, for me personally, it's neither here nor there. Obviously, a lot of people have a different opinion in terms of safety and all the rest of it, and I get that. But for that to be the reason, I mean, I don't think it actually was, but for that to be the reason would just be crazy to me.
Well, from what people have said, it's a case of, well, we're going to go into arenas and to different places that need vaccinations, and if you don't have it, then what you saw you to us. Now, I don't know what the law is in the States. Obviously, for us, you just need to prove you've been tested or have some sort of pass. I don't know what it's like in the States if you need a full-on vaccination.
Well, but the complication comes with, in the US, it's state by state.
Okay.
Whereas, it's the whole country.
Yeah,
For them, state by state. In Florida, you're nice, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
You can walk around and just do whatever. And it's been the case for like over a year. Whereas in other states, like they're still, almost operating as if it's lockdown.
Yeah.
So
but then that's the thing, like it's a very here or there excuse, because if Roman Reigns was unvaccinated, are we getting rid of Roman Reigns? Is that what you lot are telling me? You see what I mean? You're laughing because we all know we're not. So it's a very flimsy excuse if that's what they're using.
Yeah, of course. I think it would have had some, it would have had some standing in terms of the decision, which I get. But for that to be the nail in the coffin or the reason, I think would just be crazy.
Yeah. Faith Thompson says they're coming to NYC next week. I think that's where they're doing Survivor Series, right? And she says you have to be vaxxed. So fair enough. And Black Neo co-signs what you're saying, 100. And you're correct. So then there's the other guys, Mia Yim and Keith Lee. Mia Yim, we haven't seen since her Retribution days.
She literally hasn't appeared in WWE throughout the whole of 2021. Literally no showing whatsoever throughout the whole of 2021. Her last match, I believe, was November or October last year.
That's mad.
And bearing in mind, she's been moved from Raw to SmackDown.
back to Raw.
And this is the other thing as well, because it's very similar, I guess, to Keith Lee or a Karrion Kross, to where they've been asked to do things and have been moved from pillar to post, whether that be from the NXT to Raw, having to do things that we all question and think are absolutely silly, with Karrion Kross coming out looking like a Roman gladiator, or a Walmart version of a Roman gladiator. You know what I mean? And Keith Lee having this name change and the Bearcat, we kind of almost got to a point of getting used to. But at the same time, that's been the case with Keith Lee in general since he got moved to Raw. We've had to get used to certain things, because it's like, why are we doing these things with this guy? Just the other day, he was on NXT winning both championships and, just doing all sorts of madness with Dijakovic in their matches, and launching Adam Cole from one side of the arena to the other, and all this kind of stuff. And yet we're coming out and we got rid of his beard. We're giving him just for men treatments. He's wearing these basketball shorts with the tightest of tops. They're changing his music to the generic, WWE 2K.
Literally sound effects. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we did all of this to get rid of him. Bearing in mind, a year before that, or for the 12 months before that, you're having him toe-to-toe with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. I even watched that video back when he came out at the Royal Rumble.
It's painful, bro.
Of all the things that the guy did in that great 12 months that he had, for me, that one thing, that one reaction from Brock Lesnar was the be-all and end-all for him, for me to say, this is going to be the guy. He's got the biggest future.
Lesnar put him over without them even being face-to-face, by just his reaction.
Right. Just seeing him from afar, and you know how, Royal Rumble always has like the longest of walkways.
Yeah.
He's seen him from afar and was like, oh my gosh, big boy.
Yeah.
Even looked at Paul Heyman and was like, who's this?
Yeah. It's just mismanagement. And now he's
twiddling his fingers at home a couple of days before his birthday.
They don't care.
After literally, just about still alive.
Yeah.
And just got engaged. Bro, the list goes on, and it makes it worse and worse and worse. And I'm just like, I don't understand. And you can take away actually all the personal stuff. And even just from a wrestling perspective, why are we here? It's unfathomable. It's unfathomable.
You know what it is? It's them. They're getting rid of people that they don't rate, and we're looking at it like, what? Like, how don't you rate this guy? Like, you're gonna see, obviously, his post WWE career. We're gonna see what he goes on to do and stuff like that. But Triple H, which is one of your top guys in charge where you are, put everything on him. Every single title he could give him in his promotion of NXT, he put it on man at the same time, right? And the way they took it off him and moved him to main roster is another conversation, but that shows the ultimate faith that this guy is a big star. You've released him, you're going to let him walk into another company, wherever that company is going to be. And I hate the comparisons and, this person, why haven't they been released and that kind of stuff. But it is very true. Like, now, I mean no disrespect when I say this as an example. Let's take, for instance, someone like Sami Zayn. What is Sami Zayn doing in WWE really and truly?
Right. What has he actually done apart from he won the Intercontinental Championship, but in the way that he did, in what it meant, and all the rest of it, in the way that it was done, you kind of like...
Really and truly over like what are we in now, 2021? So maybe about a 5-year span on the main roster, Sami Zayn has done very little. Very, very little. Now, for me, like I know deep down in my heart what Sami Zayn can bring to the table.
Yeah, of course.
But for me, if I'm going to get rid of someone, and Sami Zayn for sure gets paid more than Keith Lee, I'm getting rid of someone like that has had their run, that we can't seem to maybe elevate to the next step, whether that's their fault or our fault. But they've had a go. Excuse me, they've had a go of it. Now we've got someone like Keith Lee, or even, forget, we move away from black people. Karrion Kross. This guy is WWE to the bone, like in terms of his presentation and what they look for.
Everything.
How did they mess him up? Like, how have we got here?
I don't know. For me, when I look at it all, and you mentioned Triple H. For me, when I look at it all, I'll be very honest and say, one person I feel very sorry for is Triple H.
I'm gutted for him, honestly.
Massively. This guy has put in whatever he's put in to make NXT what it was, and build up these stars that were indie stars beforehand, and brought them in, and kind of almost every star that you can think of that was a star before they hit NXT. So you Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, Keith Lee, Adam Cole, all sorts. Even Sami Zayn were all elevated straight away. It was evident what the intention was, and it had to happen the way that it did. So for them to see that just crumble whenever any of them have gone to the main roster is just something else. And then, as we said, Karrion Kross and Keith Lee, they were literally fighting for the NXT Championship. Karrion Kross won it from Keith Lee weeks after he had both championships. Then Karrion Kross has gone through every challenger that there was. And for me, it was kind of time for him to move up to the main roster, but let him lose the title first.
Yeah.
Don't then bring him in with the title in his hands, or knowing that he's the NXT champion. And actually, he didn't actually even come with the championship in his hand. That was a big telling point.
Yeah.
Then he did whatever he did, down to losing to Jeff Hardy, down to, the costume and no Scarlet and all of that. And you're just like, right, what are we doing here? And then we are where we are. I just don't understand it really. And then you've got the likes of, Zayda Ramir, for example, just signed in the start of the year in February. This girl defeated Toni Storm in just their second match in NXT, pulled off a shooting star press. No US female has ever done that before.
Yeah.
And you're allowing her to do that. And then
on
boom.
TV as well, by the way. Not in the dark match and stuff.
Right.
That's big.
Right. On USA Network, bro. And then boom, she's just gone. I don't. That one is difficult to process. I'm thinking like, why her and not others that.
You know why that one is difficult to process? Because you lot are doing a whole rebrand of NXT 2.0.
What? And she fits
right in. She fits right in with everything you're doing, rebranding, getting out the older stars, the more experienced stars, should I say, and even older, because this report, I don't know if you've seen it, about they're recruiting younger women now. As if this is some attitude era crap again. I don't know what they're on with that, but she fits the bill for everything you're looking for, apart from maybe the fact that she was already, an indie wrestler, and you guys want your athletes trained as wrestlers. Right. It just doesn't make much sense at all. Like, she couldn't have been on loads of money that you needed to get her out of her contract.
No way.
Like, what are we doing here? Why is there just no plan at all? And
the other scary part is, even when we talk about planning and whatever else, they had this whole thing from about 2, maybe 3 years ago. We started, recruiting everyone under the sun. And that was so they didn't go to AEW specifically. And then now you're literally getting rid of almost every single one of them that you signed.
Yeah, NXT.
With them having nowhere to go, because let's be real, let's talk about the whole where are these people going to go conversation, because where are they going to go? Yeah, we can think Keith Lee's going to AEW. Everyone's got that in their mind, and that's everyone's dream and all the rest of it. Me personally, I don't trust them with him. If I'm completely honest, I just don't. I just don't.
I do, because I think the noise will be too much. If they sign Keith Lee, bro, the noise will be unbearable, because we're all having the conversations about who is the first AEW Black champion, or even at TNT level, who will that be? If they sign Keith Lee,
conversation changes.
They will hear our voices.
Option A, Keith Lee.
Yeah, they will hear our voices.
I mean, and that's the thing, though. This is why I say, for me, I don't trust him with him, because for me, if he goes to AEW or wherever Keith Lee goes, he should really be the biggest star, if not the biggest, with those stars. You can't go in there and go for the TNT Championship. You can't, bro. I don't want to see Keith Lee versus Miro for the TNT Championship. I don't want to see Keith Lee versus Darby Allin, bro. It makes no sense to me. It should be Keith Lee versus your John Moxleys, your Kenny Omegas, your Adam Page, your Daniel Bryan. It should be that level straight away and throughout.
I mean, for me personally, I don't mind him in the TNT Championship picture, because they don't treat the TNT Championship as a mid-card belt. They never refer to it as such. It's always seen as a top title. I would actually want him to come in and be in a program with someone like Miro, rather than someone like Sammy Guevara, who's the current champion, because I just feel like Miro is more of that main event caliber person. But yeah, I think, like I say, if Keith Lee was to get signed, which I'm pretty sure they do have their eyes on the situation there, he will be fine in AEW. I'm pretty confident in that. I expect them to also sign Ember Moon. I think Ember Moon is light years ahead of what they generally have in their women's division. There are obviously top stars in their women's division, but Ember Moon slots right in with those women, if not better than quite a few of them. So yeah, she would go over there and be a big player immediately. Maybe Mia Yim gets signed by default if Keith Lee is there. That could be another good acquisition.
Yeah, I think she would fit. I wouldn't expect her necessarily to go straight in at the top. I don't think I would expect that, or I don't think I feel I'd need that either. But for her to be in there, in the mix, would be amazing. For her to then eventually rise up. But yeah, that's cool. Let's go with it. It wouldn't be a bad thing. For me, the other person I feel that would fit the AEW brand and whatnot is Taya Valkyrie as well.
Yeah, 100%.
All day long.
Experience. They need that top level women, especially as well. So
yeah. They've been, they've done a better job within the last 6 maybe to 12 months of building their women's division, and they've created Britt Baker, who is now a bona fide star. There's no arguing that at all. From the Roses coming through nicely. We can see what they want to do with Jay, but not necessarily pulling it off in the best way. And a few other stars, Chris Statlander, Nyla Rose, and Hikaru Shida and all the rest of it. So to have someone like Taya Valkyrie, who's got the accolades, done an Impact, AAA as well, all of that, again, it's a bit of a no-brainer. The rest of them, I don't see anyone having a tough time getting work. Anyone else that got released, I don't really see anyone having a tough time getting work. Some people at different levels and all that kind of stuff, but I don't really see anyone struggling at all, which makes the situation just that little bit better. Yeah, a little bit easier to take. But it's going to be very interesting, because then you've got this whole thing of all these stars from Ring of Honor as well.
Market's flooded, market saturated, bro.
And Keith Lee.
The market is saturated still.
That would have me, if they did it correct, that would be the only way I would eat my words, bro.
If what?
That would be the only way. If they signed Keith Lee and Jonathan Gresham and pushed them the right way, did the right thing, I'd be like, right, you guys listened. That would be the only thing for me.
I wouldn't even mind if they brought in Shane Taylor Promotions and STP done something
they're
like
scared to do that, bro. They're scared to do that,
and recruited Keith Lee in or something like.
That would be amazing because obviously Keith Lee and Shane Taylor used to be a tag team.
Yeah.
Back in
that's what I'm thinking.
So,
yeah, so if they did something like that, but
I'll get too excited about. I'm getting too excited about that, bro. When I get excited, it doesn't happen. So I'm not even thinking that way. But that would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal. A program with Taya would make Jade an absolute star. You know what? Very true, actually. That would be very interesting. That would be a very interesting combination, to be honest. Speaking of Jade, and let's move away from WWE just for a little bit. Speaking of Jade, we're seeing now this TBS championship tournament going on. Jade is got a bye to the next round because she was, she is the number one contender, even though she's not facing Britt Baker at Full Gear. But anyway, so Jade is getting a bye. She's in this tournament, and we saw Red Velvet beat the Bunny on, I think it was on Rampage, and Jade was watching from ringside, and now we're gonna get Jade versus Red Velvet 2. I think it's 2, or is it 3? I can't even remember now. So actually, on the singles level, it's 2, right?
Yeah.
On the singles level, it's 2, and I think it's going to be very interesting. I think Jade's winning. Jade's winning. I'll be very surprised if Red Velvet wins. Very surprised. And I think if Red Velvet won, it would be a statement of intent. I think it would be a statement of intent. Not necessarily to say that she's going to win the whole thing, but at least build her up to then, have whoever does, if someone else wins in the final, she's beaten in the final, it makes that person look even bigger than they probably were in the first place. But
so this is the quarterfinal, right?
I believe so. So the first round has just happened. I can't remember how many ladies are in it. But I think we're now quarterfinal.
Whoever wins, the quarterfinal,
Yeah. That's right. How are you seeing this whole thing playing out? I know we asked this question and we've done this like 2-3 weeks in a row, but anything changed at all?
No. Obviously, we got Sheeda still in the tournament, but Sheeda's carrying the injury at the hands of Serena Deeb. Right. My pick first was Deeb and second was Ruby Soho, and I thought Jade Cargill would be the wild card if you like to upset the whole tournament and win, sort of thing. Just seeing SCW Steve is saying here, still certain it will be Jade versus Ruby in the final. Very interesting if that would be the final, because
that'd be a strong final.
I wouldn't know who's actually gonna win.
And for me, that's why it's a strong final, because it's not obvious who would win out of those two.
Yeah. Gosh, I still think the right thing to do is for Jade to win, being number one contender, because being number one contender, and we're not acknowledging that, but she's been put into this tournament to win the secondary title. She should surely win it. Like it only makes sense.
It's also why I don't think she will, because in a way, it kind of makes sense that she's not facing Britt Baker, and she's doing this whole thing with the TBS, but then she can't win the TBS and still be number one contender.
Okay, so that's one way to deal with it, though. If they give her the belt, then they move her out of the AEW Women's World Championship division, and she's the head of the TBS division. However, if she gets to the final against, say, Ruby and loses, that's just one loss to her name. So she's still the number one contender for the Women's World title. So she should be facing Britt Baker next anyway. Like,
and that's the thing for me. That's what I think will happen. Like, she'll get to the final and lose, but then still be like, Britt Baker,
so you think Britt Baker's next program is Jade Cargill?
It has to be. I just
by maths, it has to be. But even
no. But I think
right now, like Tay Conti has jumped over somehow and is facing the champion. So
I don't get that. But I'm just saying, like, it's not even the numbers thing. It's the simple fact that she won that triple threat match to become the number one contender. Why are we now just not doing it?
Was that a number one contenders match?
Yeah. That's why she's number one contender, not because of her wins, bro. It wasn't just the wins, it was that match.
Yeah.
It was literally that match.
Well,
So,
yeah, maybe
oh,
they followed the story of, like you're saying, if that's number one contenders match, then yeah, maybe Britt is got Jade Cargill next up. But Jade losing to Britt and then losing to in the TBS match, that's 2 losses in close succession, and I don't know whether that's good for what they're doing with her. I would honestly just let her win the TBS championship and literally run away from the fact we made her number one contender over there. I think that's the easy way to do it.
A little bit of an easier way to do it, although I just feel as either way you go, because I don't see Jade beating Britt Baker at all.
Yeah,
if they were to face each other, I don't see Jade actually winning. But that there's either only that or her winning the TBS and us and kind of forgetting about the fact that she won a triple threat match to specifically become the number one contender.
I'm with Steve here in terms of what he's saying. That Jade will be the TBS champion, the first one, and that Britt versus Thunder Rosa will be the first feud of 2022.
Right.
And probably Revolution in February, we'll probably see Britt drop the title to Thunder Rosa.
And that is the other thing as well, like the whole Thunder Rosa thing. Like Thunder Rosa should actually be the number one contender, and that's not based on the rankings and all the rest of it and the wins and blah blah, but just simply because Thunder Rosa is the better person and the only person at the moment who's believable to be able to beat Britt Baker. So to not have Thunder Rosa there, and she's kind of there because she's Ty Conti's friend and she's the one been helping her and running in when Ty Conti is getting beat up and vice versa and blah blah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's where it's building to. So the only outcome that would then make sense is yes, Jade has to become the TBS champion. Bro.
I mean, going back to
office, bro. Just put me in the office, and I'll just write it out properly because it just writes itself. Why are we doing half of the stuff that we're doing? It doesn't make any sense.
Nah, I think they're gonna go with that. I mean, I hope so, but I do think that they've realized that they've built her to such a position with all her wins that it only makes sense at this point, sort of thing. They're putting her out on TV a lot. This isn't like the Gun Club that are racking up wins and aren't getting featured on TV or anything. Like they're putting Jade in front of us. You see what I mean? So I think it's for the right reasons. Yes, she's still green somewhat, but she's learning quick. And even her little segment with Red Velvet, just going back to those two after the match of the whole like let me at him sort of thing, I thought that was really good. I do have to say though, since I watched Rose to the Top and I saw Red Velvet snitching to Brandy Rhodes about Jade Cargill slapped me too hard, I have kind of soured on Red Velvet. Like, what are we snitching about, really and truly? Come on, like, this is wrestling. This is actually wrestling, and we're here complaining about you got slapped too hard. So yeah, I'm hoping Jade Cargill kicks her ass, to be honest.
I mean, to be fair, it would also then add to the whole thing of Jade Cargill being who Jade Cargill is. Red Velvet is as good as she is. Their match that they've had before was great. All their encounters that they've had before have been great. But for me, I think it's just the case of it's a no-brainer. Yeah. It's got to be a Jade Cargill win. It has to be to some way dominant. And that's not necessarily being a squash match or being a short match, but at least the ending has to be some kind of Jade dominates for a good amount of time and wins.
Yeah.
And then we go on to Jade being the TBS champion. If we don't, my noise on Twitter will be louder than it has been even today.
I won't mind her losing to Ruby Soho though. I would.
No. I wouldn't mind. Yeah. But at the same time, what it then does, unfortunately, is we will have all these questions that need to be answered.
Yes,
that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Not Ruby Soho at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be the problem. Moving on and going back to WWE and talking about Twitter. Bro, we've seen the last couple of days, I believe it is.
The slander.
That's the word, bro. I didn't even think that's the word. The slander that Ricochet has been under. There was a very specific tweet that got put around quite a lot. I don't even know who the person. I don't think the person really is of any real significance. The person who wrote the tweet. But it was put out there that, paraphrasing, Ricochet is not actually that great. He wouldn't be anything in AEW because they already have other people who are better than him, namely Ray Phoenix, Sammy Guevara, and Dante Martin. Bro, the level of disrespect in that one tweet has sent me over the edge, bro. I'm just like, are you serious right now? Now, to play devil's advocate, to be very honest about the situation, yes. If you were to look at Ricochet since NXT even, unfortunately, there's not been that overly, wow factor about Ricochet. Yeah, we can do great things, but we don't see it often. We don't see it enough. We've not seen it in a predominant space. Yes, he's been the United States champion, but that wasn't the greatest thing on the planet. It wasn't nothing to talk about. It's easily forgettable. And apart from some of the selling that he's done, like the Claymore that he received from Drew McIntyre, like the kicks that he's had, halfway through moonsaults from Adam Cole. Those, unfortunately, are the main things that we remember when it comes to Ricochet during his WWE tenure. But to say and to forget or to not know, because I'm guessing this guy just does not know.
No
to
way.
Not know the level and the capabilities of Ricochet, to say that Dante Martin, Sammy Guevara, and Ray Phoenix, there's an argument in the Ray Phoenix one, are better, and that,
bruv,
I've had enough.
Like you said, the WWE run not been much of anything. NXT was better, but again, he's not like he became champion or anything. Right. But I beg, ladies and gentlemen, before you come on Twitter and make a horrific hot take
judgment,
I beg you do your research. These people that you named, especially the Dante Martins and the Sammy Guevaras, no disrespect to those guys, because those guys are very special in what they do. But this guy that made this tweet needs to understand that these guys are Ricochet's sons.
Right.
Ricochet is their father. Ricochet is their grandfather. There is no them in what they do without the lineage of that style being passed down, especially running through the veins of one of the greatest in current day to be doing it is Ricochet. Like, please go and educate yourself on everything this guy done beforehand. And if he was to leave WWE, how he would be off the leash again to do such. Like, Dante Martin is a special talent. Sammy Guevara is a special talent. But what Ricochet can do ability-wise to compare to these man is tenfold.
Bro, here's the thing. So you mentioned that they're sons of Ricochet. They are princes to the king. You look at, if anyone wants to do real research, you look at the stuff that Dante Martin does. I'm telling you now, Ricochet's done it already.
Of course.
Every single thing that we have seen Dante Martin do in the last 3 or 4 months, Ricochet has done before. And this is way before he was in NXT, way before any WWE. It's the reason why he was the biggest star on the indies for at least 3 or 4 years. Everyone wanted to sign him for so long. Like, it's crazy. There's an argument in the Ray Phoenix being better or on the same level as Ricochet.
Yeah.
Easily on the same level. But I'm telling you now, I don't know the guy. Never had a conversation with him. I've never seen, never really seen any interviews that he's done. But I'm telling you now, if you were to say something like that to Ray Phoenix, he would tell you off, bro. He would tell you.
He would dismiss it. Yeah.
Ricochet is the reason, or part of the reason, or my inspiration, or whatever else, as to why I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy Guevara and Dante Martin studied Ricochet. I'll tell you that for nothing. Tell you that for absolutely nothing. Even I studied Ricochet. I'm not a wrestler. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do flips on my settee. I'm not a wrestler, bro. So for them fans to be, wanting to be the next big star with the style that they have, Ricochet was the go-to. If they did not watch Ricochet, they do not know how to do half the things that they do now.
It's true.
It's as simple as that, bro.
Yeah, it's
Puma, Ricochet, King Ricochet, the Open Gate Ricochet, the New Japan Ricochet, the WCPW Ricochet. Bro, the list goes on. The Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. Really? And we're saying it's like saying that it's almost like comparing, there's the whole argument of LeBron being better than Michael Jordan or Kobe being better than Jordan and all this kind of stuff. And it's an ongoing, it would be an ongoing conversation, ongoing argument, because one came before, and if it wasn't for that person, there wouldn't be this person.
Exactly.
It's exactly the same thing. So to say that these guys are better,
it's like you said, the guy just needs to educate himself. People need to remember, obviously, Ricochet, he doesn't have the strongest promo, and that's what generally knocks him down some notches for a lot of us. But he's held by the shackles of WWE, and if this guy was let free, they'll put him on TV most weeks in any other promotion to be displaying his talent and wowing the crowd, because that's what he does best.
Listen, bro, the easiest, I guess, the easiest accessible footage of Ricochet is Prince Puma days in Lucha Underground. The stuff that he was doing on that show, because that show was just free. You're free to do whatever the hell you wanted on that show. I mean, you have an Angelico flying down onto 50 feet, literally down into the ring. Having, I think it was Willie Mack and Killshot, who's now Swerve. That crazy match that they had, or was it AR Fox? This crazy match that they had where they're slamming each other through barbed wire glass and
no rules.
Then look at the matches that Ricochet had with King Cuerno, who is now Santos Escobar. With Phoenix, Mil Muertes, all these top guys. And he was their champion for the longest of times. The matches on that show. Johnny Mundo.
Morrison,
The matches on that show. Mad. But yet someone wants to turn around and say Dante Martin and Sammy Guevara are better than Ricochet. I've had enough, bro. I don't know why I'm on Twitter.
It wasn't a hot take. Like I said, it was a horrific take. But
it was mad.
It happens on Twitter.
I've seen at the same time, like, it's crazy. It's crazy how our mindset changes based on not what someone can do, but what they are able to do. As in, the restrictions that are then put on them. Makes us think that they're lesser than what they actually are. Because there's, WWE is literally, the main place that happens, and I guess almost the only place that happens. The likes of Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, as we mentioned earlier. So many more. Kevin Owens as well is another one. So many more who have to water down their style or water down at least the thing that made them into stars on the indies.
Exactly.
It's a very different place, and that's not changing. And we kind of, to a point, have to embrace that. But at the same time, you can't then judge them on them not being able to do something.
It makes no sense. He just has to go do his homework and his Googles. That's it.
Let me take a breather, because I'm about to get vexed. staying WWE, staying on SmackDown as well. Actually, we saw, and I'm very interested in this. I'm actually really liking this. Is the confrontation between the New Day and the Bloodline? Namely, so Xavier Woods had a bit of a run-in with the Usos, the longest of tag team feuds between the Usos and the New Day. For some strange reason, it actually doesn't get old.
Yeah.
He actually doesn't get old.
Because them man are brilliant, so are brilliant at what they do. And that's why.
He's actually one of those things I could watch every single week and I actually wouldn't get upset with it. But then, Xavier Woods defeated Jimmy Uso, I believe it was, and Jimmy Uso was then supposed to bend the knee to the King. Just as he was teetering and the knee was getting lowered to the mat and all the rest of it, you start hearing the crowd go, oh, and you're like, what's going on? And then boom, Superman punch from Roman Reigns, the chief, the tribal chief, knocked out the King, and then of course the Bloodline took out Sir Kofi Kingston. Just completely devastated his legs with Roman Reigns forcing Xavier to watch as they dismantled his best friend. Who rules over SmackDown? The Chief or the King?
Is this really a question?
The answer is obvious. But I just love the fact that Roman and the King of the Ring.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the Chief. However, it's great what they're doing with Xavier Woods. They're trying to make this whole King gimmick mean something, and it's got off to a good start. Putting him in the ring with Roman this week on SmackDown, very interesting. Xavier's been on the main event for the past 2 SmackDowns. Roman Reigns rarely wrestles on SmackDown at this point, so it's always going to be good to see him. However, I think this is obviously used to get closer to the Big E match, which is going to happen at Survivor Series. So we've got SmackDown this week and SmackDown next week before we get to Survivor Series. I assume this week we may see a run-in from Big E because I guess Kofi's taken out. So if there is another bludgeoning after the match at the hands of the Bloodline on the Xavier Woods, Big E might come to make the save and he might then have a face-to-face with Roman Reigns. But I think just elevating Xavier through this King of the Ring is necessary. It's good. Maybe now we see with this injury that maybe that's writing off Kofi because, like we said, Kofi's expecting back at home. So we see Xavier Woods go at it on his own, and there's no shame in Xavier Woods losing to Roman Reigns. I guess that the bigger question is, come Survivor Series, Big E and Roman Reigns. We still assume Roman wins there, but should Big E be losing kind of so soon into his reign against Roman?
Here's the thing. So, not to answer that question first, going back just a little bit to the story that's being developed, I think it's brilliant. I think it's just one of those things that WWE are getting right at the moment. To have the King of the Ring against the biggest star in the company so soon after winning the King of the Ring is as good as it can be. And then to be able to then connect that to the Survivor Series match, Big E versus Roman Reigns, is just perfect. It fits perfectly. I've seen a lot of people asking, or saying, if it's not the New Day versus the Bloodline in a 6-man, then it's pointless and blah, blah. But we've had that. And as much as it wasn't on the biggest scale, it was on Raw. But at the same time, it was big enough as it was because it was around the same time we had CM Punk and Daniel Bryan at AEW. So it was like the counteract. And, it was a big thing. So we've seen that, they're now on separate brands. We know that Survivor Series is all about champion versus champion. So I don't feel they're going to find a reason to make the 6-man tag thing happen on that show, especially with the Usos are as well tag team champions. They have to face the Raw tag team champions. So, so it's as great as it can be. In terms of the match itself, who wins? I still just think it's Roman. I don't think it will necessarily hurt Big E to lose to Roman Reigns in the same way it didn't necessarily hurt Drew McIntyre last year. Loved for Drew McIntyre to win. That would have been a major statement, but at the same time, it didn't hurt McIntyre. It was a great match. McIntyre then went on to do greater things as the champion not long after that. So I think it's going to be a very similar thing for Big E. If he wins, here's the question: if he does win, then what?
There is zero chance Big E is pinning Roman Reigns. I'm sorry. It's not happening. I can't even fathom an answer for that question because I don't see a life. I don't see a future where Big E is pinning Roman Reigns on this run at all. I'll be gobsmacked. I'll be absolutely shocked. The only thing with the Big E loss that we're assuming he's going to take, I remember them being some shenanigans last year. Maybe a Jey Uso got involved and that caused a distraction, and then they pinned him. So they protected Drew somewhat in defeat. I'm expecting them to do similar for Big E.
I think Seth Rollins will have something to do with it.
Maybe, yeah.
So we're then building that, because for me, obviously, in terms of stories, in terms of week to week, that is more important than Big E versus Roman.
Yeah.
Again, as I said, adds to the story, adds to the feud, and all the rest of it. So for Seth Rollins to have something to do with it, maybe even Kevin Owens at this point, possibly
maybe
at this point, to have something to do with Big E's loss would be the safest and most intelligent way to do it. Big E's then not losing clean to Roman. We're having a reason for Big E to be upset even further with either one of those two guys. Hopefully, maybe better to be Seth Rollins. So we'll see. And I'm leading up to that match. As you said, there may be a run-in from Big E on SmackDown. I think that's going to be literally the week before, or the SmackDown before
next
SmackDown
week,
before Survivor Series. So not this week, but next week. If it was to be earlier, the week after would have to be some kind of tag team match. Xavier and Big E versus the Usos, maybe.
Maybe.
Roman and Roman has to choose one of the brothers.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I think it'd probably be better if it was literally the couple of days before, and we have that same kind of not necessarily the invasion thing where all of Raw invade SmackDown, but at least a few of them where they get involved and turn up. So we'll see how that one works. I don't know, but I know Roman's winning. That's all I know.
That's what I know.
We've not done this in weeks. I think probably even in months, but we've got a few minutes. Let's try and choose stars of the week. Who do you see as your star of the week and why?
I'll choose Byron Saxton. Because Byron Saxton last night won the 24/7 championship, even for 9 seconds or whatever they're reporting it is. And he pinned Corey Graves to do it. After years of stick, Byron has got one over on Corey Graves, and I'm sure for the rest of our lives, we're not going to hear the end of that. Byron will remind him of it. I can't lie, I actually got quite excited when I saw Corey Graves pin. For the longest time, I've been saying, especially with their engagement announced, I've been saying Corey Graves and Carmella together on screen would probably be brilliant.
It would be amazing.
The minute he pinned my man, Tozawa, yeah, they're putting him on screen. Let's go. But yeah, what happened. Byron pinned him shortly after that. So yeah, Byron Saxton.
Nice. Very different, but I like the reason why. That's cool. For me,
long-term storytelling. They say WWE doesn't do long-term storytelling.
Bro, they've been doing it, especially with Big E, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens. They've been doing it, bro. Have a look.
True. They've been harboring back to stuff, yeah.
For real. For me, I think I'm gonna stick with Woods, if I'm honest. King Woods. His run has been great. As King of the Ring already mixing it up with the biggest star in the company. I don't know if you've seen any clips. I think they were only posted today, I believe. His interview with Ryan Satin about the whole thing of winning King of the Ring. So he was talking about, the fact that he was, he's been mentioning it for the last 3 or 4 years and they've not necessarily brought it back. Talking about how upset he was at not being in the last one, even though it was him that was making noise and no one else was saying anything
About
else.
it, yeah.
And he said this thing about it feels as though like the whole King of the Ring thing feels as though it's like when you call dibs on something when you're in school. And he said, like, for him, that's what it was and always has been. So when he was, missed out last year, he was upset. But now this year, now that he is the King of the Ring, it's like he was saying that this is his.
Yeah.
I mean, it always felt as if it was his anyway before he even won it. So, we asked the question on this show, I think it was last week, if not the week before, what will King of the Ring be like? And we were, and ahhing whether it was, going to be good based on what the WWE do or what Xavier Woods does. And I think we can clearly see that he has a major influence on what's happening,
100%.
how it happens, what happens. And even with WWE's input, it's still based on how big of a star he is and how much influence he has. So for me, Xavier Woods right now is almost untouchable. As much as he's going to lose to Roman Reigns in every way, shape, and form, he's still untouchable in terms of the type of star that he's going to be built to be, holding this whole, King of the Ring accolade and whatnot.
Hopefully.
Talk about this whole thing of Kofi Kingston disappearing, him having to do his own thing. Even if there's nothing that comes from, we're probably not going to get Xavier Woods versus Roman Reigns for the championship. Whatever Xavier Woods does after that, it's going to be big. Whoever his opponent is, it's going to be big.
I love Shinsuke Nakamura, but take that Intercontinental title off him.
Please.
Let Xavier just go and win that, please.
Yeah, something like that. But yo, folks, our time is up. We're actually finishing at a decent time for a change, not 5 and 6 minutes later. This has been WrstlXtra. You are watching on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel, and we'll be listening on AffinityExtra.com. Folks, this guy over here is Mex the WrestleManiac. Find him on Twitter, WrestleManiac UK, and on Instagram, WrestleManiac.uk. And you can find me on Instagram, Black Wrestling Alliance, and Twitter, Black Wrestling A, making up noise, calling people out, and just saying other random stuff just because I can.
Just to cause trouble.
Yes. I'm a troublemaker on Twitter. That's the best thing I can do. Everyone else is as well.
It's true. That is true.
What I mean? Let's go. Folks, until next time, thank you for joining us. Everyone that has joined us live and is watching, and everyone that will be listening, thank you again, and join us again next week. See you later, folks.